Hey guys, it's Conf Hollywood Studios here, and I have to be completely honest, when I made that video yesterday going over the rumor that Six Flags and Cedar Fair were merging, I didn't really expect to be making this video. I figured it was not going to be true, but we all got the shock of a lifetime this morning when Six Flags and Cedar Fair both announced that the two companies are merging together. When I was sitting here eating breakfast this morning and I saw that email come up from Six Flags, I was mind blown. I really didn't think it was going to happen. We've seen it so many times in the past where either Cedar Fair wanted to buy them or Six Flags wanted to buy them, SeaWorld stuff involved too. But to see it go to this point is absolutely unbelievable. This is one of the biggest events in the theme park industry in a long time. This is going to have major impacts going forward for both companies and the surrounding parks too. Parks like Hershey, the SeaWorld parks, Busch Gardens parks, all of them will be affected by this. This is going to completely change the landscape when it comes to the theme park industry. And when I had my interview with Salim Basul back a few weeks ago now, he said that his goal was to disrupt the industry and change things up just like he did with Middleby, which I'll play that clip right now.
Since I've seen you, we've done a lot of new things. We have most probably disrupted our business model. We changed every assumptions. We turned every rock. And I'm happy to say that the future looks very bright for us.
And as we can see by this, he has definitely shaken up the industry. This is crazy. So I'm going to go through everything we know so far about the merger because there are some things that a lot of people have questions on. So I'm just going to go through. Cedar Fair and Six Flags created this very nice slideshow. And after we get through the slideshow, I'm going to show some of my own stuff. But this is a really good outline of everything that they're doing. So for one, they're bringing the two businesses together, as we know, which will create a portfolio of 42 parks, including amusement and water parks, along with 9 resort properties. That is absolutely insane. 42 parks, I believe 27 of which are amusement parks and the rest are water parks. That is unbelievable. That is a giant conglomerate right there, a giant group of parks. And the 9 resort properties is very impressive as well. I'm really curious what they're considering the resort properties because they have Cedar Point's Hotel Breakers and Breakers Express. Carowinds has a on-site hotel as well. Knott's has the Knott's Hotel. Maybe they're counting Savannah Sunset from Great Adventure in there. So yeah, lots of just insane stuff here. So just some numbers here. And it doesn't really matter too much to us, but we're going to keep going down the line here. Six Flags and Cedar Fair have split up their ownership of the new company, and I should go over now. The new company will be called Six Flags and trade as Fun. So for those of you who don't know, Six Flags was on the New York Stock Exchange with the ticker 6, and Cedar Fair was there as Fun. So it seems like they're taking Six Flags' name since it has much better brand recognition than Cedar Fair, and then keeping Cedar Fair's sticker. The headquarters of the new company will stay in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where Cedar Fair is currently headquartered out of. And they're also going to have the office in Sandusky at Cedar Point for other things that are not being done in Charlotte. So what that tells me is that the Arlington Six Flags corporate office will not be a thing once this fully comes into action. They plan to fully merge by Q1 of 2024, and from there we'll see things change. But what I find really interesting is the leadership and governance of this brand new company. So Salim Basul, you can see he is ranked higher than the CEO. That is because he is taking the role as executive chairman, which in my opinion is a much bigger role, or at least a slightly bigger role than that of the CEO. Richard Zimmerman was the CEO of Cedar Fair. He is now taking the role as CEO of the new Six Flags company, and Salim Basul will be in charge of the board. So he will pretty much have final say over everything. The chairman of the board, big position right there. So then CFO is Brian Witherow. He had the same position over at Cedar Fair. And Gary Mick, who is the CFO of Six Flags, will now be the Chief Integration Officer. And they're splitting the board up with 6 people from Six Flags and 6 people from Cedar Fair. Keep everything nice and simple and split down the middle so it's nice and even, which I think is great. Keep the best of both companies. The Six Flags shareholders will wind up having a 48.8% stake inside of this new company, and the Cedar Fair ones will have a 51.2% stake. Going down the line here, lots of other stuff that doesn't really matter much for us other than the fact that it says, of course, expected completion to be in the first half of 2024. And that gets me into my biggest concern with this, which is the fact that this has to be approved by legislature and whatnot, and I have a feeling that they're going to have an issue with this setup because, in my opinion, it kind of screams monopoly. Now, what I mean by that is the fact that Six Flags, well, I'm going to refer to the new company as Six Flags just to keep it simple. Six Flags will have so much control over the regional theme park industry in the US, Canada, and Mexico. They're going to own so many parks, and that is going to drive down competition because you're not going to have two of your own parks really compete with each other. They're going to benefit off of each other. So I definitely think we could expect to see that 42 parks number start to shrink once this gets closer to approval. I would not be surprised at all if the company has to sell off a couple parks. As for what parks that could really be a whole number of different parks. I think Six Flags America could definitely be one that gets the axe. California's Great America as well, but that's going through its own situation right now. Mainly, I say those because Six Flags America isn't necessarily the highest priority park for Six Flags, and it's not too far away from Kings Dominion either. And then, of course, up in Northern California, CGA is pretty much a competitor with Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, but Six Flags did make note that there is minimal market overlap in geographic locations in the U.S. The only ones I can really think of are the ones in Northern California and Southern California, as well as Dorney and Great Adventure for the Philly area. Dorney is one to keep an eye on as well, just because it's so close to Great Adventure, which is an absolute giant. But other than that, I don't think there's really going to be many issues with geographical location for the parks. I think they'll be able to keep it intact. But like I said, I think they'll definitely have to face some obstacles when it comes to the idea of this company being a monopoly. So we're going to keep going down the line from here. And a big thing they're excited about is the fact that they're going to have numerous different IPs. And it sounds like they plan to send these IPs across all of the parks, both past Cedar Fair parks and past Six Flags parks. So that does mean we can expect to see DC Comics and Looney Tunes themed attractions at current Cedar Fair parks and Peanuts themed attractions at current Six Flags parks. I don't know what the timeline is for this, and of course there's also the fact that DC licensing for Six Flags is not going to last forever. It will expire at some point, so I'm not sure if they're going to go crazy investing DC-themed attractions into the current Cedar Fair parks. We'll just have to wait and see with that, but I do think it's very interesting. They're pushing this as a major opportunity with the new company. So just comparing the two parks, of course Six Flags does have more parks, but they are less in attendance, so Six Flags parks overall are less attended than that of Cedar Fair. Revenue is higher for Cedar Fair as well as EBITDA. EBITDA, free cash flow, is about even for the two companies, and net leverage is a little higher for Six Flags. So when the two companies combine, being the new Six Flags, you can see over there on the right, the stats are absolutely crazy. This is going to be a stacked company with a ton of stuff in their portfolio. So continuing down the line here, we have the hotels, the campgrounds, all of this. So not only is there going to be 27 amusement parks, there's 15 water parks, 9 hotels/resort properties, 2 of which are coming from Six Flags, which I'm thinking could be Great Escape Lodge and possibly Savannah Sunset. Campgrounds that could also consider Savannah Sunset, that I'm not too sure, but I also imagine, I believe Darien Lake has a campground, so that would be there. Safari/animal experiences, Six Flags has 2. Sports facilities, Cedar Fair has 2, one of which being the Cedar Point Sports Center, and 3 marinas, which I know Cedar Point does have one, so lots of different assets in this company's portfolio after the merge. And this is one of the coolest things on the slideshow, in my opinion. It shows a map of every single park this new company will own, and of course the Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks. So you see how they've split them up by region here, and it's just absolutely massive, the amount of parks that this company will own. I mean, I still cannot believe it. So continuing down here, just some other stuff that doesn't really apply to us. This is the percentages of U.S. region by chain. So you can see Cedar Fair was dominant in the Midwest, whereas Six Flags was dominant in the South. So now it's pretty much equal for all different categories except for Northeast, which is a little lower than the other ones, but still absolutely insane how big of a reach this company will have. Just some more stuff here about corporate costs and whatnot. And this is another really exciting point right here. Enhanced Season Pass program and optimized Flash Pass/Fastlane program. So Season Pass holders will be able to have a combined Season Pass program which provides access to all of the parks in the combined company. That is insane. Currently, to get access to all of the parks between Six Flags and Cedar Fair, you'd have to get a Six Flags Diamond Pass, which I believe they're around $200 right now. I don't remember what the new price is. and you would have to get a Cedar Fair pass with the All Park passport. That'll run you around $300, something like that. I don't remember, again, the exact cost. So I'm curious how they're going to price a pass that will give you access to all of the parks. I imagine that that will be a pretty high priority for them once they combine companies officially in the beginning of 2024. People are probably going to be looking to use their Six Flags Pass at Cedar Fair parks and vice versa. And they're also going to combine and optimize the Flash Pass and Fastlane programs, which I think is great. I've always preferred Fastlane, so I'm curious to see which way they go with adopting the practices of either or. So there's also, of course, the IP, like I said earlier, where Six Flags' licenses for Warner Brothers in DC will combine with Cedar Fair's license for Peanuts characters, which is awesome as well. So it's just some other stuff here that doesn't really matter to us, but right here we have the transaction timeline. So transaction was just announced right now, Q4 2023. Q4 actually, it recently started. They announced all their Q3 earnings reports and everything. Both companies were doing fairly well. So from here, of course, they have the commitments to Revolver and Cedar Fair bonds and whatnot, Six Flags shareholder vote, refinancing of Six Flags' term loan, and then they are targeting the beginning of 2024 for the transaction to close. So overall, I mean, this is just absolutely insane. I still cannot believe this is real. This is something I know we've all dreamt of, Cedar Fair's great adventure. What if Cedar Point bought Magic Mountain? And now they're all together, at least not officially yet. They, of course, have announced that they haven't gotten all the approvals, and like I said, I don't think they're going to be able to do this very easily. There's probably be a lot of pushback from Congress and FTC and whatnot about concerns of this being a monopoly, but I do want to emphasize the fact that this is going to completely change the industry, and it could be good, it could be bad. It could be good because all of these parks will now be under the same umbrella. They won't really have to worry about economic issues because this company is going to be a powerhouse economically with so many assets and whatnot. On the other hand, a lot of these parks were competing with each other, whether Cedar Fair and Six Flags. Cedar Fair would do something big, Six Flags would do something big to counter it. So now that they're all under the same roof, there's not really going to be that need for innovation and crazy new rides, although judging off of what Salim has said, in my interview, it sounds like they want to go full steam ahead with crazy new additions, at least at the Six Flags parks. And I imagine due to the timeline of all this, he probably knew about the impending merger between Cedar Fair and Six Flags at that time, so maybe he accounted for that in the plans. But I do think overall this is probably going to be a pretty cool thing to watch unfold. Last time anything near this magnitude happened was in 2006 when Cedar Fair bought all the Paramount parks, but this is probably double or triple the size of that deal. I mean, this is absolutely massive. Like I said, I'm going to be following this whole development as it goes along, see what happens, because this is definitely something that pertains to all of you watching. I'm sure you're near either a Cedar Fair or Six Flags park, which are all now going to be known as Six Flags parks. I do want to make clear, though, the company has not said that they will be rebranding the Cedar Fair parks to Six Flags parks. Personally, I think the best way to go about it would be renaming all of the parks based off of their original name. So, for example, have it be Great Adventure, a Six Flags park, Cedar Point, a Six Flags park. And you still have that brand recognition of Six Flags, but it's not so in your face and annoying to the point where there's 30 Six Flags parks in the country. That would be ridiculous. So that's just my little idea there. But I want to know what you guys think about this merger. I'm sure you all have thoughts. I know I shared all of mine here. I'm probably going to have more videos predicting other stuff about this merger. Like I said, I really want to know what you guys think about this. Let me know down in the comments below. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to Collywood Studios, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.